for the kind discussion and a warm welcome to all the panelists. So today we are going to discuss a very beautiful topic called art and identity. Because for me, being an artist myself, as an actor myself, it's something which I've always thought about, and it's good to have such eminent people giving their points of view on this. And before we begin, I just want to share two examples with you on this, which will make it very clear as to what we are going to talk about. One is, as an art dealer, I deal in art. We have all kinds of art. We have happy art, we have sad art. But if it's good art, it's good art. And about 15 years ago, I knew this one artist who painted beautifully, but the subject was very sad. But the paintings were beautiful, and they used to sell for a lot of money, and but it was very sad. And I suggested to him, why don't you change to something more happy? Because I believe in feng shui, and I know your art is good, but why don't you make something more happy? And he said no. But then over a period of time, we used to meet, we used to discuss, and over a period of time, he did. And 8 years later, he met me and he thanked me profusely, because I said, why? What are you thanking me for? He said, because when I now make my happy paintings, I am a happier person. The grief that I was pouring into my art was making me more sad. It was giving me more grief. And now when I'm making happy pictures, more colorful painting, I'm a happier person. And the second example I want to share with you is about my own self. Because when I started acting, I was famous for my anger. So all the roles that I used to get, because I was an angry person myself, were all angry roles. And Ravi Chopra, when he was casting for Ramayan, he walked into the room and he said, put Bijay's Anand name down for Lakshman. And everybody was shocked. He said, how can you do Ramayan without casting Ram first? And he said, shut up. Bijay is the most angry person I know in my life. He's perfect for the role. Cast him. Now, when I got into yoga, I got into spirituality. Then, when I got back into acting after 17 years, Nikhil Sinha casted me as Janak in Siya Ke Raag, and he told Star Plus in front of me. He said, I'm not casting an actor to play Janak, I'm casting Janak himself. So, Janak is this king who's also a calm and, spiritual person. And the next job I got was Om Raut's Adipurush, where I played Brahma. And when I saw Om on the set, he was laughing. I said, why are you laughing? He said, everybody's telling me that Brahma ji hai. You look like Brahma only. So now in my case, it was the other way around. My identity changed my art. So in the first example, the art changed the identity. In my case, it was my identity changed my art, from what I used to be as an artist to what I am. Now I'm going to throw open this discussion on art and identity to these beautiful people. And I'm going to start with you, Samir. You are an actor, you're an author, you're a director. So what do you think is the relationship between what your personality is amazing and so spiritual, so profound. We had this lovely chat for the last 1 hour. So how do you think it affects what you want to direct and what kind of roles you like to play and thrive in?
Firstly, I think he's being extremely humble. I known him for a long, long time, and I remember when he first came onto the scene, he was probably one of the best-looking guys with the best-looking smile. So I don't know what anger he's talking about, but yeah, that's one thing on him. And I'm also curious, are we being put here according to our age or something? I mean, everybody, the yo kids are right there. So anyway, coming back to the question of art, to me, it was a strange thing. I discovered acting when I was roughly 8 years old. Yeah, to me, I was an extremely introverted, shy kid. And a teacher came to our class and said, and we were pretty active in theater and in singing. So you had two choices. Either you went to Glee Club or you went to theater workshop. I couldn't sing to save my life. So I was put in theater workshop. And the first time I ever acted, I was supposed to do this role of getting up in the morning and pretending to go to school and brushing your teeth and stuff. I felt liberated. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't responsible for my actions. I wasn't being judged. And so to me, it was catharsis. And till date, that's what it is. When I'm looking for a role I play, is that I'm always thinking, is there something I can say through the character which I can't say normally? Because art, again, I'm sticking to acting, I'm sure same goes with painting and visual arts and singing, is that it's a medium of communication. You're saying something, but through that, you're also putting a part of your soul in it. I mean, in real life, if you're angry, you can't go and slap the other guy. But if you're a baddie, you're like, yeah, man. And everyone's going to clap, say, oh, what great acting. So, yeah, to me, it's been catharsis all along. And if it wasn't for this art form, I wouldn't be here today. I really would not. It changed my personality, changed who I am. And yeah, it's the biggest gift I ever got accidentally from God. So that's what it means to me.
Shibani, coming to you. My experience with music is like when I have sat in. So basically, when I'm sitting for any kind of singing session, it could be opera, it could be singing like this. I always have a rule. I sit wearing glasses because a lot of times when it hits me, when I really connect, especially with Carnatic music, I start crying. My wife thinks I'm quite mad. My daughter thinks I'm absolutely crazy. But it happens. Music has that power to heal you. And as a singer, what is your view on that? On the power of Nath, on the power of the voice to actually heal someone?
Thanks, Bijay. Great to meet you again after so many years. I had a lovely tryst with Bijay's Kundalini Yoga, and I felt so, I don't know, elated and evolved. And I'm so happy to meet you again. It's like a sign that I should
My
come back
pleasure.
to your yoga lessons once again. All right, so Bijay, you know what? I really feel that I'd like to quote Beethoven that music is higher than any revelation of wisdom itself. It is the electrical soil within which the spirit lives, thinks, invents, and breathes. And of course, Shakespeare said, if music be the food of love, play on. Music has tremendous power, and when I discovered that I have music in me, I mean, it's truly a blessing. It's really like being, leading a blessed life, because when I sing, it's not just me who feels elated or, that feeling of magic. It's the people around me, the realm, who listens to me or listens to the music, that's the songs. That energy gets transferred to them also. So it is a divine universal magic. So so I feel that I'm nothing without music. Music is me and I'm music. And they say that music helps you to communicate where words fail, music speaks. So music helps you to express. And I'm a very, normally when you meet me, I'm a very happy-go-lucky, very jovial person. And that's why I just love connecting with Samir, because he's so funny, because I love comedy. But
She just called me a comedian.
हाँ तो he is ना how he was making us laugh backstage अभी. So but melancholy as in pain is something which I can't express normally. Like I feel very conscious about feeling sadness or expressing sadness on my face, but through my music I express a lot of melancholy, and that is a catharsis for me.
Yeah.
So with a song like Sajna Abhija, I used to be very, very lonely. I didn't have a boyfriend or a companion for the longest time. I wasn't finding the right person. A lot of breakups were happening. So I made a song called Sajna Abhija. नहीं लगदा तेरे बिना दिल मेरा हाय नहीं लगदा तेरे बिना दिल मेरा सजना आ भी जा.
Wow.
So this ये जो नाद की जो आप बात कर रहे हो, I think somewhere the universe heard that pain and that voice, and I did finally find my Sajna. But yes, so what you sing, sometimes it comes true for you. Yes, it's music is magic. That's all I can say. I mean, I can go on and on and on about it, but I just
And it's
expressed it through
amazing
my.
the spirituality of any art form. There's a lot of spirituality in art, and the spirituality in any art form comes out from your authenticity. Like when you were going through that grief, when you sang the song of grief, that's why it became such a big hit. That's why it was appreciated. That's why it was so beautiful, because it was at that moment authentic. It was a reflection of your identity. Coming back to the subject that we are on, because that was your identity, and that the authenticity of your identity poured into the art. That's why it was subliminal. That's why it was so divine. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob, your art. How do you connect your personality in your words? What do you think that you paint, and what do you think your personality, how do you think it affects it? Does it affect it at all? And if it does, how?
Oh no, surely it does. First of all, I'm very happy to be on a panel like this with such amazing people. It's an honor. But yes, art for me also has been like, a form of self-discovery. When I was young, I found a lot of peace. I really enjoyed spending a lot of time creating and building stuff. And like I come from a very like a middle class family. We didn't have all the means and resources, but through my art, I could create a perfect world for myself. It was like that, and I wanted to share that with others. So when I got an opportunity to create videos or a television show, where I could teach art or I could spread that joy with others, I fully focused on that, and I found ways to share that same language, like how she said, when words fail, art speaks. So for me, it was like that, because I feel that art can really help you sort of communicate without the limitation of language, right? With art, if whatever you're feeling, your inner thoughts, your feelings, you can easily communicate that with just a stroke of paint, a stroke of color, because even color can emote that feeling. I'm a very positive guy. I look at life very positively. I'm always happy. People say you're always smiling. I have no complaints. I feel I'm very blessed, and my work reflects that. So when people look at my work, they feel that sort of sense of calm, peace. It brings a smile to their face. So I try and spread that positivity through my art. So I definitely feel that because I'm a positive person, my art reflects that. And I'm happy that through my art, I can impact many lives and change many lives and bring some joy to others as well.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. Shantanu is into heavy metal.
Yeah, of course.
He's
Like,
into
what give it away?
He's into tattoos, and his art is also doodling in the same genre as the personalities. That are your identity, and this is your art. So, what came first? Did the art come first, or did the identity come first?
I think, first of all, I'm really honored to be here. And this is a lovely discussion that we're having. And this idea of identity and art being together has been a age-long question. It's a crisis situation for this. So what I feel like is, for me, both came in at the same time. Mine, because where I come from, there is a lot of unrest growing up. So angst was one of the most common emotion for all of us. And art came at the perfect time where I could use angst to sort of identify it with. So right now for me, it's a three-part thing. Like, what do I identify with? Is it the process of making the art? Is it the medium that I'm working with? Or is it the observer's point of view? Am I making the art for people to identify something or somewhat of an emotion that I'm identifying or relating with? Or is it the process which is creating the identity for me? Or is the medium? Now what happens with different situations is all of those three things are not constant. They keep changing. If I'm working on a commission piece, for example, if you're acting, you have a script, right? And what happens there, that you have to identify with something else. Does your art seep into that when you're identifying a different character altogether? And the process, like how do you process that whole, like how do you execute that art form? How do you execute your ideas? That also defines a huge sense of identity.
Sorry.
So I feel like my identity with art is always changing. I won't say it's a constant. Like just because I look like this, I listen to certain music, that doesn't define my identity as an artist who I am. Because some of my paintings are really, really dark, really gory. It lacks, like it has no colors, to be honest. It's all black and white. But I've also done projects which are like completely opposite. So for that moment, my identity changes. But it only depends on how people perceive me with that identity. For some people, I'm a metalhead who likes to paint really dark stuff. For some people, I create magic with flowers, with beautiful colors and stuff. So I find my identity to be constantly changing, not to be particularly constricted by one medium or one process or one thought. And that's my whole take on identity as an artist, like an art, basically.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Zia. So I have to tell you, Zia does the sacred dancing, this Sufi dance. And if you were to see her, you would start crying. It's so beautiful. And there's something so sacred about the way she does it, the spirituality that she pours into it, the authenticity that she pours into it. So what I would like to ask you, Zia, despite knowing you for 12 years, I would love to know and share with others, how did you discover this art form and how it has shaped your personality as it is today?
Thanks, Bijay. Great to be here. And I've done many retreats with Bijay, with Anahata and Kundalini Yoga. He's brilliant. So you must definitely try it. It was my introduction to Kundalini Yoga with Bijay. And in that, actually, even though I was coming from many years of sacred dance when I did Kundalini Yoga with you, I met the same stillness that I have in my dances. So I really love that. And sacred dances was actually, it's not like I was looking for it. When sometimes we find ourselves in life where there's a calling and you're just drawn to it. So it came to me as a calling and I had no choice. I just had to give up whatever I was doing and dive into it. It just pulled me. And the sacred dances that I'm doing are from ancient diverse cultures, like from the Sufi traditions, esoteric traditions of the Middle East with enlightened mystic Gurdjieff, Indian temple dances. So they're kind of a diverse confluence of sacred dances that I've been involved with. And what's interesting is the calling for it became my spiritual path because we're using dance, we're using the body as an instrument in dance to come to a place of stillness and deep silence. And in that, the self disappears. The identity falls away. So we become selfless, identityless, and that's when there is a meeting to the spiritual realm. Like Rumi says, it's a very common saying, but Rumi is most popular in saying this when he said, the drop falls into the ocean and becomes one with the ocean. You just melt into that great vastness when you're really unified inside yourself, using the body as an instrument for higher consciousness. And then 2 centuries later, Kabir said the same thing, but when he was on his deathbed, and this was really a changing point for me, because I was already in the work and experiencing this, but not having words to describe this until I read this Doha of Kabir, and he said to his son on his deathbed, you know that poem I wrote where where the drop falls into the ocean and becomes one? Bring that, I want to edit it. And then he changed it to, I lost myself and became without boundaries, and the whole ocean came and poured inside me. So in this, in sacred dance, we're actually losing identification because that's what the spiritual path is about, and that's been my calling, and that has been my spiritual journey, and I can't separate my dance and my spiritual path anymore.
Beautiful. On what you just said, I want to just share that I like writing a lot on my website, and I wrote long ago something on these lines where I said, acting for me is a form of meditation. Losing myself to find myself. So the process, the whole point of meditation and spirituality is to lose your identity, lose the ego, to lose the sense of who you are. And at the moment when you forget who you are and lose yourself, that's actually the moment you find out who you really are. Now, Shibani, my question to you, does it happen to you when you sing? Do you forget who you are? Do you come into that state of Zen? Did you come into that state of lack of identity, not knowing? If somebody taps you on the shoulder, say, what's your name? Oh, what's my name? For that second, does it happen to you? Has it happened to you?
Well, not really, but yes, when we're talking about the state of Zen, when I'm on stage, when I'm performing, I lose all sense of time. You're like in a trance. You're like in another, some other realm altogether. And it's a direct connection with God. Music for me, when I'm performing or even when I'm listening to music, it's like a prayer. It's like worship. It's like the highest revelation. And yes, at that point in time, whilst I'm performing or whilst I'm immersed in that music making or music listening, if somebody were to ask me a mundane thing like that, I would not be able to answer. I would be blank.
So to me, direction is also an art form. It's a beautiful art form. And so directors who specialize in a genre. You see a comedy guy who does comedy, does a lot of comedies. People like Guru Dutt, who if he was doing sad movies, he was doing a lot of sad movies because that is the core of the personality. You directed one film. I just want to know what that genre was and what the film that you told me you're planning, what that genre is going to be. Is it going to be the same genre or are you going to diversify?
Firstly, I would love to take up on what we've been discussing. I think what really tends to happen is, as human beings, you have emotions and you have thoughts, and there's constant conflict that goes on in your head. You know, whether it's consciously done or not, and people find their own ways to escape that conflict. I think whatever you do, whether you're an artist, singer, even a businessman, is that when you can get rid of that conflict, that is when the clarity comes, which we call being in the zone. Whether it's Michael Jordan shooting the 3 point, like me cueing that music. And was that the cue for that? No, but so it's really true because I think John Lennon said that. He said that there are moments in which I feel that I'm just a medium through which something far greater
Yeah.
is experiencing. And it is for those moments. You know, if you're fortunate, you will get some moments. People who are far more evolved might spend more time in that I live for. So I think that kind of crosses everywhere when you just, there is no conflict, there is no thought, you're just there, you know. So that's something I like to add. And I think we all are kind of saying the same thing in our own ways. As far as direction is concerned, direction happened to me because I got sick and tired of criticizing films. I was a pain. Whenever I saw a film, I would criticize it. I said, "Aise kaise ho sakta hai? Aise kaise ho sakta hai? What nonsense is this?" Then, so I kind of said, "Look, if you think you're that smart, why don't you do it yourself? Just shut up and do it. I mean, that's the only way you can do it." And I went about, and I remember I'm sure you'll recall this. Very often when we call entertainment films, you always say, "Leave your brains behind and enjoy it." And I said, "Man, surely brains should be allowed to come with you, right? If you want to enjoy the film." So my films tend to be, the first one I wrote was a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
In which case, if you miss 2 minutes, you missed something. The second one I'm working on is a supernatural because I am per se a thinking man. I cannot make, also my limitation is that I cannot make a DDLJ better than Karan Johar. That's a fact, right? I cannot do that. What I can do and what I can offer is something which is far more intellectually stimulating. And I enjoy that. And I enjoy directing is because, I've been an actor for over 25, 30 years. And normally the director thinks he's the be-all and end-all. And I don't like that. To me, it's like I'm just the elder brother. And my job is to create the atmosphere in which creativity springs. And I love that when an actor goes beyond his own ability.
Yeah.
And I love doing that. So yeah, the answer is that is the forte that I found so far. But it's just amazing just watching them blossom. It's just a great
So
feeling.
this is exactly the point of the discussion. Like I said, the identity of the personality is what you will see here in art. Now, when you talk to him, I've been talking to him for the last 1 hour. It's a profound discussion. We don't talk about nonsense, rubbish, bullshit. We're talking about something deep, something philosophical, something spiritual. Now, if that is the identity, obviously this man cannot make a David Dhawan film where you have to leave your brains behind and you have to come to the theater. He is an intellectual. He's profound. He's going to make movies on subjects which make you think. That's exactly the point we're trying to drive home with the discussion. Actually, I would like to do something very unusual right now. I would like to take 2 questions from the audience if you have one, because I always find it very interesting when I'm on the panel to have something thrown at me from somebody who's sitting there listening to the discussion and saying, I would love to know something about this particular question instead of just what the moderator wants to ask. So I just want to ask any of you if you have a question to ask from any of us. Yes, please. Exactly what you said. And when you immerse yourself in any art form, in case any of you are not in any art form right now, this is why you should get into it, because when you do immerse yourself in any practice, any art form, you come to the point of losing your identity and discovering who you really are. And that's what spirituality is all about. That's what life is about. That's what life's purpose is all about. The day you discover, you find out who you really are, your whole life changes. It could be good, it could be bad. You could realize you're a villain, you could realize you're Prem Chopra, it doesn't matter. But when you know who you are, that's the whole purpose of life. And when you discover that, it's as if there's a switch which goes on in your mind and your identity is revealed to you. And you also use art to change that identity. You can use your art, if you're sad now, you can use your art to be happier, to be a better human being, to be a happier human being. Thank you all for being such a wonderful audience. Thank you to my eminent panelists, beautiful all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Satnam.